What's going on, guys? Chu here, bringing you I guess you can call it a season finale part 2 review. Just when I thought that we were going to have the end of Dr. Stone, I would have been fine with. We have to wait till next year for another part 3. Starting to feel a little like Attack on Titan. Just saying. But let's get into it. So we start this review with Senku getting ready to create more revival fluid with Suika. Now, I love how they kind of spend a little bit of time together working on all this and how quickly he was able to get things, but it was still a process. And having these two work together was nice. Whenever we had Senku and Suika in a scene together, it was normally them just kind of doing separate things. The only real moment I can recall that they did something was when they first gave her the little helmet with like glasses. And that was a special moment between them, but this one, well, I guess the last episode's moment was among the most special, not only for them, but for the series. And I definitely loved it. And I love how whenever they got more of the revival fluid, we see that they get Kohaku. Now, obviously, aside from Senku, Suika and Kohaku are very close, very much like sisters. And I love that these two were able to have a moment. It was really good, heartwarming, felt like it was just enjoyable overall. So to have these two have a moment was nice. And then bringing back everybody was really cool. We saw Luna, Chelsea being brought back, Chrome, Kaseki. And one of the things that I love about Chrome here is, and I don't say that very often because Chrome is kind of annoying, is that, when he heard Kaseki talking, he immediately got sad thinking, like Kaseki's older in age and how he feels after being petrified, how he feels all young and energetic. He hopes to have Kaseki forever. He wants him to be old together, and that's something that I think is very sweet. And I thought about that too. I was like, realistically, there's been many years, and Kaseki is probably close to that point. And I wish that we had maybe, gone a little further with that, but I'm glad they didn't touch it at the same time. Because it's like Kaseki's a great character. He's honestly in my top 10 or 5 even. Like, Kaseki's such a great character to me that I don't talk about him enough, and they don't do enough justice for him in the series, but he is a great character. But one of the things that was kind of nice and a little also heartwarming was the fact that we got to see everyone getting together and just having a good time. And we see how Suika is very much having a heartfelt moment now that she's reunited with everybody, and it's just seeing them after 7 years of of her growing up and not having anybody to talk to. It's difficult. So I definitely like that they did this for her. And one of the things that was concerning to Tsukasa was the fact that we find out about the petrification. And it's still not very clear to me. It makes sense for the most part, but it seems as though them being petrified was to allow people to kind of live for a long time, but at the same time have a control over them to live so long. And we see that with the petrification, it kind of prevents death. And this happened with Senku, this happened with Tsukasa, and this happened with Hyoga. He was truly dead, and now he has come back, and Hyoga, is his normal self. And so the concern there for Tsukasa, and it also happens for Chrome, who, earlier we talked about how he, was worried about Kaseki, and so now they know kind of the truth, where people aren't necessarily gonna die with this. They could live on for a long time, if not forever, but it's not something they want to discuss publicly with everybody. And in the end, Gen also finds out, which is not a surprise. But, Senku needs more answers, and he also needs someone to help him, with the possibility of maybe even making something like a rocket. So they bring back Zeno, and Zeno obviously gives his cooperation. He's a bit sad about not having his buddy with him. He knows that in time that Stanley will be back, but the focus now is to create a rocket ship and find out more of the truth. So there's still a good bit of work needing to be done. Obviously, the people in the U.S. and people in Japan, everyone that they know still is petrified. So they still have much to do in order to get back to where they need to be. So honestly, it felt nice for a season. It wraps up the story, but there's still a ton to find out more about. So I'm glad, but I'm not at the same time. So we'll see. It's one of those that I'm ready for this to end. It's been a beautiful journey, but I could see it ending soon. But guys, that is it for me. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you guys have, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that. And I will catch you all later.